Hello and welcome to the Built on Air podcast. Built on Air is a regular podcast where we talk with everyday people and learn about the amazing things they are doing with Airtable. Today's podcast is sponsored by OpenSide, the leading solutions provider for Airtable customers. Check out openside.com to learn more about their products and services that can take your Airtable usage to the next level. Use promo code BuiltOnAir to receive $20 towards any product purchase. On today's episode, we speak with Matthew Baggetta, marketing lead and seasoned content strategist. Matthew has a super interesting backstory. He spent years in academia, earning himself 2 degrees in English and starting to work on a third, a Ph.D. in English and Cultural Theory. While working toward his Ph.D., Matthew made a huge life change, leaving academics to start a new career in marketing. Around the same time, Matthew also started a personal meditation practice and went on to found his own meditation instructor training program. It was in the marketing sphere, though, that he found Airtable. The base Matthew shares with us today is his content asset tracker, which he uses to track content, keywords and metadata, writers assigned posts, and more. One of the most attractive features of his base lies within his blog post assignment form. The form allows the user to assign a writer, post title, keywords, pain points, and internal links to be included within the post. SEO and marketing pros out there know how important it is to include internal links within your website to increase domain authority. And Matthew's form makes this extremely simple by including a self-linked field to reference previously published stories when planning new content. Check out the show notes for links to learn more about Matthew.
Yeah, so real briefly, I trimmed down the base because the content asset tracker, it's a beast and it's also still under construction. So I tried to distill it down to like the main pieces and the main objects that like I use the content asset tracker to organize, which is like blog posts, emails, product messaging, personas, pain points, funnel stages, companies, backlinks. So I can go through a couple of the key tables and then I can dive into each of them and maybe explain a little bit more.
Perfect.
So the main table that the SEO team uses is the blog table. The full, like, and all the data is fake, right? Because it's all proprietary. So if it looks weird and if there's glitches, apologies. Just assume this is like a fully fleshed out list of 500 and some odd growing blog posts. All of it is collected in this catalog. We've got the title, the post URL, the writer, the status, the keyword. This field, which I'll dig into later, outgoing links, is huge for creating interlinking out on your website, which can really help with domain authority. What else we've got? Links out. So these are links going out. Funnel stage, pain point. And there's a bunch of stuff that we'll just skip over, but then it's also got all the different due dates. So like the draft due, the published date due, and then we've got blog and analytics data, and yeah. So that's kind of the high level columns.
Perfect.
I use the data in this table in a few different ways, or the person I used to use it, and now my colleague uses it. So we use the workflow, I guess you call it view, to help manage new assignments, updates, and stuff. So we've got a backlog, needs updating, post scheduled, in the outlining phases, assigned to the writer, editing, ready to publish, published. So it's the whole workflow for blog creation. We also have the blog content calendar. So this helps us to stay a track of shifting deadlines. So like this post was meant to go off on the 14th, but the writer ran into a problem. So we need to bump it, and it's very easy. Drag and drop.
Exactly.
It's also good for outlining new posts. So this is a form that we built out, and I think so I've loaded it up in the web browser over here. So it's basically when you're planning out a bunch of new posts, there's a creative brief that needs to be created. And by using the form created from the table, it saves a lot of time of like searching and thinking like overhead, because you can do all the searching in Airtable essentially, right? So you pick your writer. I've kind of populated this already just to give you a feel. You set the status, you put in the post title. You can select from a list of keywords, which you have all sorts of metadata on already, which you want the writer to focus on. You pick a pain point that you want the writer to focus on, the funnel stage, what's the persona that this post is going to be written for, internal links to add. So this is pretty cool. So this column is references. So let me go back real quick. It references the entire catalog itself.
Right.
So one of the things that took a lot of time when I was outlining in the past was, okay, I'm writing a post on X, and I want the writer to incorporate and link to these 3 other posts on our blog for SEO purposes, right? Because when you interlink within your own blog post, within your own website, it increases the domain authority of the entire site.
Right.
So by having, this was one of the biggest features, right? Having it right there, you can just narrow it down, type a few keywords, and select your posts that you want the writers to focus on.
Yeah, that's a really great idea.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time when you're doing like 12 posts a month or 15, or and it's scalable too. So that when you fill all this information out and you hit submit, it basically shows up. This was like a static link that we would share with the writers, and the record would appear under their name, and it would have all the information they need to get started. They just open up the record, they see, okay, these are the links I'm going to link out to, so they click through and start reading them, part of the research. They could focus in, okay, so this is the pain point. Here's the definition of the pain point. This is the funnel stage, which means, okay, no purchase intent, yada, yada, yada. Here's the persona, keyword. So all the information is right there. They can get started, and it kind of cuts down the amount of back and forth.
Right. So are you creating a different view for each writer?
You could. I didn't when I was doing it, because there was no personal data that could be found here. And I figured, if they wanted to, they could just filter themselves.
Right. Exactly.
Just pick
That's always helpful when you can do that. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So there's no like private personal information here. So that was safe. All the information actually could have been helpful for other writers to see. Like, these are the other posts that are in the pipeline. This is what's coming out this month.
Right.
If they wanted to, right?
Exactly.
Cool. So I mean, that's the gist of this table. And then the assigned trigger here. So this would be the field that once the post is outlined and I make the status assigned, it triggers an email that gets sent notifying them, hey, your new assignment's up ready, and it's got a link to this URL in it. So that's how they get there. Perfect. Yeah, so that's the blog. The other big table is the video table. So same idea, just with videos. And I've got this one kind of organized by the different video types, but a lot of the same types of metadata in here, just think video instead of blog. So you've got the different formats of video, you've got all the titles, you got the funnel stage, you got the pain point, video URL. Is it a practical tip video? Is it a podcast? Is it live Q&A? Is it a video to support a blog post? And then, all sorts of other quantitative data. A lot of the data, it looks like, has kind of disappeared as I've tried to make this scrub it for public consumption.
Of course.
But there's lots of it, and it's very useful. And moving on to the email. So we're actually in the process of moving to HubSpot. And when that happens, I'm very excited, because I know there's a HubSpot Airtable integration. So it's very exciting. But our current email CMS doesn't use HubSpot, but we still needed a way to manage all the different emails that go out. We've got a few different people who work on them. We've got a few different segments. And so this is just basically an email calendar. The overview view would be where we build out, the new emails coming up for the month. And then each week we would kind of go through the calendar and be like, oh, okay, we don't want to send 2 on Thursday. So, let's bump one to Friday. And also, we only want to have 3 per week. So let's bump another one to next week. So that's how we would use the email calendar.
Perfect.
And then we've got the context. So this is like all the different types of individuals not in our organization that we need to collaborate with to keep the content machine running. And there's various types, right? You've got an expert. So that's like a thought leader that you want to reach out to and like maybe have host a conversation on a podcast. We've got freelancers who you want to reach out to write a post. Contacts are people at other companies or organizations that you might want to reach out to for backlink swaps.
Okay.
And then leads are like potential experts or potential thought leaders that you want to reach out to. Like somehow they've entered in your into your network and ecosystem, but you never made contact with them. So you want to reach out, see if there's an opportunity to work with them. And then qualified is like, okay, we've reached out to them. Yes, like we're not working with them yet, but we'd like to in the future. And then dead is like contact information out of date. We just don't want to delete it and that kind of thing.
Right.
So this table rather is used by a few different people, and I kind of simplified the workflows, but they're kind of all similar in the sense of like you've got your backlog of contents, those people you need to reach out to, send an email to, you need to follow up, no response, and like in this case, if it's a backlink exchange swap complete.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of the tables that would really benefit from the HubSpot integration once we get it set up. So that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Does that have like CRM capability?
Does what, this or?
Like HubSpot? I've never actually used HubSpot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is it's definitely got CRM capabilities. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's that. And then companies is just kind of like the some contacts that we work with. Mm-hmm. There are multiple of them that work at a company, and as time passes, people leave and change. So that's what this. The one person uses this more than anybody else, really, and that's kind of like how we look at our companies. Uh-huh. This one is kind of exciting for me and for anyone SEO minded. This is the keyword data table. So we have in Ahrefs a list of keywords that we track and follow on a regular basis, a couple hundred. And every month we'll do a data dump from Ahrefs and plop it into this table here. And what you'll start to see over time is trends, which you can do in Airtable itself, but the big benefit of doing it in here is that they're not just keywords floating in the ether, they're attached to blog posts, and the blog posts are also filled with rich metadata too. So you can do some really interesting analysis and strategic planning. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And then these are the two data kind of, so keywords, blog data, and video data, they're all just kind of like data repositories where this one, the blog data is integrated with GA. So this is automatically updated I think here we did it every week, but we're switching to every month. Mm-hmm. And what you start to see is week over week, you have, average session duration, new users. You can start to track the performance basically of various content assets. One thing I'm still working on doing is building out a formula or roll up or something to make this data a little bit easier to read and to action. I don't have that strong data analysis skill set, but I know having the data in here is very valuable. So I'm looking at it like this for now, but I'm still working on making it a little bit easier to digest.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful. I can absolutely see the value in all of this.
Cool. Yeah, so video data, similar. The only difference is that it's manually imported because there's no YouTube integration. So once a month, we'll bring in the YouTube data. It's organized by YouTube ID, which is basically just the last 11 characters of any YouTube video. It's the YouTube ID. It's like a randomly generated code. So that's how we match it up. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that's the I guess the content-y part of the base. And then the messaging part is also pretty neat. So we've got pretty fully built out product messaging framework, which uses its own model of each product feature that we try to message has an organizational pain, an unmet need, the function of the feature itself, vision of use, and the organization's benefit from the feature. So having this all in Airtable is very useful, again, for the freelancers once you're sourcing out assignments and let's say you want a post to incorporate a pitch at the end to a particular feature, you just pipe this data in and it's already in the brief. So it really helps you scale your team of freelancers and keep everybody on brand and talking in the same language about the same messages that you want to be putting out into the world. Super cool.
Yeah.
And so this is another kind of messaging piece, which is like pains or organizational pains, if you want to call it that. So this is like done based on internal research and also market research of like, what are the pain points that people who are coming to our blog usually experience, whether they know about it or not. And that helps us create answers and solutions because they're obviously looking for answers. That's why they're searching and using Google in the first place. So having tagged all of our content with like basically reading the post after the fact, and it's all kind of, we've got 18, different panes. Each one has a definition.
Mm-hmm.
And reading each post and tagging each post, we can then start to see, like how good a job are we doing? What's our coverage, right? Do we have like any pains where we think they're pains, but we have no content for them? So this becomes like a strategic tool that we can use to build out and cover all those gaps. Or, what pains do we have a lot of coverage in? Where maybe and like, what's the performance of those pains? Is it necessary, right? So you can do a lot of interesting strategic planning with that.
Absolutely.
And then you got your personas, which I just made these again from scratch, but it's cool to have to help the writers have a picture in mind of like who they're writing for. And I also wanted to just use I just wanted to use the image feature because the gallery is pretty great, right?
It really is. And even without it though, your other two tables that you just showed, they look really clean and sleek like that as well with just the text. Like I really love that.
Yeah. I mean, I played around with the gallery functionality, and you can customize what appears on each card, and so
it looks really good.
It's great, yeah, to get the information at a glance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's most of the big stuff. I think I did the overview and the deep dive at the same time.
No, that's perfect though. That's wonderful. So I'm curious. I have one question about like the linking that you showed us in the form.
Sure.
So that's a self-linked table to blog posts, right? Or self-linked field rather,
yes,
to the same table.
Right. This is Sorry. So the outgoing links field here, it's linked to the blog table. So as time passes and new posts are created, they're all indexed. And when it comes time to maybe do some interlinking of old posts or even planning new posts,
mm-hmm.
it's very easy to just find the post that you want to update and you interlink it.
The reason why I usually don't use the self-linked fields is just because they don't have that reciprocal function. But in this case, you wouldn't need it because you're only linking from one post to another. You don't need to see on the other one what posts have linked to it. Or you could if you wanted to set it up that way.
You could. That's a level of complexity I just did not get into.
No, of course. No, I think that's really awesome. And a really simple solution to solve what I'm sure is like a timely problem.
Yeah, and the bigger your blog catalog is, the more valuable this type of search functionality of your own. It really surfaces like topic clusters that you didn't know you had, and coverage blind spots that you didn't know you had, and it just cuts down on all the overhead of like drafting out new briefs and making sure that you're getting your new posts that you're producing are all linking out to different consistently old posts that you have that are maybe already ranking well. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Bravo. This is wonderful.
Thanks.
Of course. Are you using blocks at all or apps, excuse me, like chart blocks or something?
Right. Yeah. Let's see. I am in other projects.
Of course.
In this particular base, I think I use stuff like CSV import, dedupe.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use the URL preview one for the video tab.
Oh, that's cool.
Although I'm not using my paid account for this demo, I'm using my personal account. But it is cool because you easily see a thumbnail of the video, and you can even hit play for the video guy.
Yeah, I'm excited about that feature for sure.
And I think I use the chart when I'm doing like analysis of content performance and trying to like plan strategic initiatives of like a topic cluster for the future, or quarterly planning for the next year. I'll use the charts feature for that. So for this particular base, I think that's about it for the apps that I use.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm sure you could make a bunch of really nice looking charts showing that the Google Analytics data over time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to, I need to get better at processing that and coming up with formulas and stuff, but definitely. Yeah.
No, this is awesome. And I feel like the more people use Airtable, the more like they're like, oh, I can do this and I can add this and this, and it
Yeah.
just keeps getting better and better. It's awesome.
Yeah, totally. Like when I came across an article, the only two posts that were written that I found, and I looked high and low on how to do this. One was on the Process Street blog, and I think they're like a startup out of the UK, Process Street, and the other one was on the Animals blog. And from those two posts, I kind of cobbled together and evolved it and like made my own kind of version.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Bravo. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Oh, happy to. Thanks a lot for having me on. It's fun to talk about it because I kind of feel like I think about it a lot in my mind, and I chat with my colleagues a little bit, but other than that, it's like a lot of work goes into this, and it's nice to show it.
Exactly. Yeah, you should be proud. This is great.
Thanks.
Where can our listeners go to learn more about you?
That's a good question. I mean, you can always find me on LinkedIn. I can give you the link to that. I also have a Twitter account, and I have a personal website, which is MatthewBaggetta.com.
Perfect. And we'll put all the links to those in the show notes as well.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Matthew, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ali. It's been fun. Thanks a lot for the time.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to give it a like or hit us up on social at BuiltOnAir. We always love to hear your comments and suggestions. And don't forget to subscribe to catch new episodes when they release. It helps us keep the podcast going.